Welcome to day 266 of our DeSo journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian, and we have a special guest, Michael Marra from Entre. How's it going, Michael?
What's up, guys? Happy to be here. This is really exciting, and I love everything that you guys are doing. So really excited to talk it up about DeSo today.
Yeah, and before we get started, I want to say these videos are being sponsored by Wallow. Yeah, so Wallow, if you want to try Wallow out, you can quickly go to the wallow.cc website and then click the early access token link at the top. And that will take you to a post on DeSo where you can buy an NFT. There's 65 left. Those who hold the NFT will get early access to Wallow and check it out. And we checked it out. It's awesome. So Mubs is doing a great job. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on in DeSo yesterday. We saw the price take a sharp decline. I think in the last 24 hours, it's fallen from about $125 or so on Coinbase all the way down to $85, $84 range. It seems to be finding some support around the $84, $85 range. We'll see if it holds up. I don't think you can get too discouraged with the price. We're in price discovery right now. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. Well, yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with there's been pent up supply. There's been these people who have been sitting on DeSo for 9 months now from the beginning, and some of them are finally able to cash out. I know we couldn't cash out if we wanted to because blockchain doesn't work in Florida. Not that we were planning on cashing out, but there has been people that have been waiting, and this is their chance, I guess. And so the excess supply is coming on the market. There isn't enough new users coming on or discovering DeSo yet. I think it's going to be a slower process as people discover it on Coinbase and throughout other means. And then we'll hit an equilibrium eventually. And so I don't think you can really view the price right now as any indicator of where we're headed in the future. Michael, have you been trading DeSo at all on Coinbase?
Yeah, I've been messing around a little bit. I just wanted to test things and see how it went. The coolest thing was I sent money from Diamond to my Coinbase wallet for like a fraction of a penny, which was amazing. And that just it was the huge aha moment that I was like, okay, now there's complete liquidity in DeSo, and people can earn money on social media in a decentralized way and then convert that to any currency they want for a fraction of a penny, very easily. And that just blew the doors off of everything. So I think right now DeSo's riding way under the radar for many people. The majority of people have no idea what DeSo is right now, which is a great opportunity for all of us to, buy up more. And if you look at the market cap, I think it's still like under $1 billion, right? So if you look at these other projects, and if you look at, any platform in blockchain, and for what DeSo is doing, if there's any big app that's built on DeSo going forward, and in my opinion, over the next 5 to 10 years, most of the big social platforms are going to be built on DeSo, at least all the new ones. And there's going to be kind of this switch that's going to happen with social. So, we're looking to be a huge part of that and be a major project on DeSo in of ourselves. But the market cap for, decentralized social, and as more apps and the ecosystem grows, I mean, it could very easily be $100 billion by next year or the next couple of years, if not, more. So I'm a huge fan of this long term. I think there's a lot of opportunity right now. And I think the more people that start coming into it, as soon as the user base picks up, as soon as the buzz starts, and as soon as people actually start talking about how they're making money with it, then the domino effect is going to just start rolling.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And I think people get discouraged when they see the price fall because they've been on the platform long and they've seen the highs and the lows. But in the long run, I say this all the time, and Brian does too. You just got to zoom out and look at the whole picture, the future. Look at it in 5 years from now. Moving on, there was a big Twitter space held by the core team yesterday. It was the first Twitter space town hall. And at one point, there were over 560 people in the room listening to Nader, Alex Velitis, Fungibles Arts, Sean McGuire from Sequoia Capital, Megan Vita, she was the DJ. They were all speaking about DeSo, educating the public about what it is, what the benefits of DeSo are, and what the future of DeSo holds. And Nader talked about a lot of things and threw out some things that we haven't been aware of yet, or we haven't really known too much about yet, as far as the future roadmap of DeSo is concerned. And I just want to go through a few of those points that he talked about. Other than him just explaining what DeSo was, he mentioned DeSo DAOs. And DeSo DAOs is something that they're bringing to the platform in Q1 of next year. So, next month forward. And they're going to provide a suite of tools for companies, founders looking to raise money to create something built on DeSo, or even something built outside of DeSo, raise money through selling tokens. And I think it's an amazing idea. The idea that, a company, like, say we're doing NFTZ and you're doing Entra, we could say we want to sell this portion of our company through tokens. And those people who buy our tokens become part owner of NFTZ, and you can resell them on the market. You also get voting rights when we try and make decisions concerning the company, directions we go in, et cetera. So I think it kind of gets a community involved in investing, not only in DeSo, but in projects built on DeSo and projects built by people who are utilizing DeSo. Yeah, I love the idea. I think that maybe in the US, and Nader pointed us out that this is definitely something that those who are working outside the US, teams working outside the US, would want to utilize. In the US, it might get a little bit trickier in dealing with like future SEC regulations, but it's still something that I think every company should, especially building on DeSo, should consider moving forward. And of course, we got to see exactly what tools they're going to bring forth, but it's definitely exciting in my mind. Yeah, what do you think about that, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, DAOs are, I think there's going to be a lot of companies over the next several years that are going to start transitioning to DAOs. At the end of the day, though, I think it's going to be a little bit of time until the legal side of it gets worked out, just because of, several different factors. But I think, going forward, I think, eventually a lot of companies are going to just make the transition to being a DAO. And then a lot of new companies will just start as DAOs and then issue tokens and shares. And it's going to create, a lot of liquidity in the market. So like right now, there's a massive amount of private startups, right? And there's a massive amount of people who own shares in all of these private startups. And they can't trade them. They can't get rid of them. On paper, they're millionaires, but who knows what's going to happen. So with DAOs and with more companies issuing tokens, now people could trade. I could, sell some of my tokens of Onshore and then buy some of this other startup, and it would be really, really cool to see how that all plays out. It's definitely something that we've been thinking about. We'll see how it plays out. We don't want to jump into anything too quickly, because it is very new and there's a lot of legality with it, especially raising capital and already having a corporation set up. We just want to do it the right way, but it's definitely going to be the future in one way or another. I would caution people to watch out for some DAOs though, because like in most cases, like they call themselves DAOs, but at the end of the day, there's like 2 or 3 people that can control everything, so yeah. It's not really a DAO. Like, there's always, an influence at the top and from the people who create it. So just be careful about how many, who owns, the majority of the voting rights and all of that stuff, because that can affect, what you're doing and, the involvement of the DAO as well.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the co-founders of a company would end up being the ones who hold the majority of the tokens, which give them essentially the same voting rights as they would have as if they were the CEOs, CFOs, and the
Exactly.
co-founders. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's a really good point. But it's going to be interesting to see what the tools are that DeSo provides, because maybe they'll provide things that deal with some of the legalities. We just had to wait and see. But moving on, Nader also mentioned smart services. He's not such a big fan of smart contracts because smart contracts are more bound to individual blockchains. But smart services, which are more centralized, whereas smart contracts are decentralized, smart services are centralized. He said DeSo has a proposal coming in a few weeks, also going to be Q1 of 2022, and it's going to allow for smart services. And the benefits of smart services, as Nader put out in the town hall yesterday, is that they run on JavaScript instead of Solidity or Rust. And JavaScript, of course, more developers are educated and know how to develop software using JavaScript. There might be more security issues with JavaScript. I'm sure that can be worked around as well. But it's going to be interesting to see, what happens with smart services on DeSo and how that helps us integrate with other blockchains. Yeah, I really like the idea. I think that there's like a trade-off between using these other coding languages and JavaScript. But ultimately, I think that if you can bring a bunch of people in who already know how to code on it, you're going to see an explosion of new applications for these smart services. So I think ultimately it's a good move. Just exactly how it'll play out over the course of the next few months, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to bring to DeSo in general. Yeah, so Nader also mentioned that he believes that current social media websites and apps, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, every social media app and website out there will eventually integrate with blockchain. He said he doesn't think these companies are going to create their own blockchains. We saw Facebook that they kind of tried to create their own, cryptocurrency based on the US dollar. That didn't work out so well. It's really complicated to create a blockchain. And it's really complicated for a corporation to create a blockchain because then it's seen as being more centralized. So he believes that in the long run, these social media apps and sites will end up integrating with a blockchain. And his hope and his belief is that that blockchain will be DeSo. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure that's well into the future. But I know, Michael, you talked about how you think that future social media platforms will be built on DeSo. So it makes sense that current ones will have to eventually integrate with DeSo or another blockchain in the future.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for existing social apps to convert over, right? What I think most will end up doing is just, you'll be able to link a wallet and do some basic stuff and all of that. And I think almost every app in the future is going to have a wallet in it. If they're doing any sort of transactions or anything, you're going to be able to link a wallet. Now, whether they use Coinbase's API and you can just connect your Coinbase wallet, or where they have a native wallet or a DeSo wallet and whatever, that's going to depend on it. I think it's going to be and that's why I think there's a whole new wave of social platforms that are coming, because number one, most of the existing platforms, people really don't like the people running them, and they don't trust them. And we've already gone through many issues with these platforms. So for us, like, there's a whole new wave coming, right? Diamond is kind of like the new Twitter. Like, we're kind of positioning ourselves as like the new LinkedIn and professional network. There's a number of different companies that are starting to integrate this, integrate into similar apps that exist, but they're run by companies who people don't trust, and they're not decentralized, and people can't really invest in them or make money with them. So I think for the first kind of step is like, you need to establish a blockchain, right? So either they're going to have to build out their own, or they're just going to, like I said, kind of have like a crypto side to it, like a Web3 side or a wallet. and then the rest is going to be the same. But I think in the next 10 years, the social media landscape as a whole is not going to be dominated by Facebook anymore. And I don't think the same players are going to exist. I think it's going to take some time to transition, but I think if done correctly, most of the apps going forward will be decentralized for the most part, and they're going to be run by different companies or entities or DAOs. It's going to take time, but I think eventually that's where it's going to end up.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think it's like, it's impossible to wrap your mind around a new social media platform starting up today and not thinking, hey, maybe we should decentralize ourselves and connect to a Web3 blockchain in some way. Like that's just like, if you're starting a new social media platform and you're not looking to do that, I don't think you're going to have long-term success, not to mention the investors out there. Web3 is a buzzword. And if you're starting a social media platform and expect to get seed financing, people are going to be like, why are you not integrating with Web3 and a blockchain? It doesn't make sense. And I guess you say it's difficult for the traditional social media sites to integrate. I guess you were already, Entre was already out there and you guys integrated. Is that different because you're such an early young company?
Yeah, it's not as difficult for us just because we have 17,000 users, right? We don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of users. So for us, like, it's really easy to make this transition right now before we really start hitting scale. Because after that, it's going to become increasingly difficult. So for us, it's like, we want to make this transition now. We want, our existing users to come over. We will likely probably still have a Web 2 side of our platform for a little bit longer until the integration is like fully complete. But we already have authentication with DeSo on web and mobile just rolled out. We have the ability where you can post from Entre onto DeSo. We're rolling out, the wallet from on DeSo very soon, so you could send DeSo to wallet from Entre as well, and then just continue to add new things over the coming months. So we're going to be doing it in phases, and then once it's kind of like complete and we have everything that we want, then we're gonna kind of make sure that going forward, all new users basically have to sign up with DeSo only. But all the legacy accounts are it's hard because, how do you have half the people in Web 3 and half the people in Web 2? Yeah. It's kind of tricky, you know what I mean? So for us, it's not as difficult, but when you're dealing with millions and millions of accounts, and then some people don't even know how to use Zoom or email still, and then you have to have them buy a token and connect the wallet, and they're clueless, right? So, right. But if it's built in, it becomes a lot easier. I mean, right now, I'm pretty sure we're the first app that has DeSo on mobile and web. At least authentication on both platforms, or on all platforms. So for us, like, we're going to continue building that out. I mean, we're working with DeSo, in their team and stuff. And I think we're going to be pushing like the code base pretty far ahead as well with our integrations, and the different stuff that we're doing also.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see where you go with that. I just want to, before we get to talking more about Entre, I just want to mention two other small things. 18 people were representing the rowdy reptilians in the Twitter spaces last night. I scrolled down through the list and it was like so many rowdy reptilians. It was crazy. So congrats to the rowdy reptilians. You have a lot of fans out there who are representing you on Twitter. And finally, I want to say the Natterheads drop. That's a project, the NFT project that we're behind with Boss, Wouter, and Martijn van Halen. We had our final drop yesterday. We had it with Izzy. And Izzy had a special Christmas edition. And we also announced that we're sending number 85 of the Natterheads to space. Thanks to Chase Steele and Rudy Carson. They are going to send the Natterheads number 85 onto the International Space Station. It's going to be able to orbit the Earth and then come back down to Earth. And it's going to be one of the first DeSo NFTs to go to space. There's going to be more. Yeah, so Michael, how did you first hear about DeSo, and what was a trigger that made you think, hey, we got to integrate with DeSo?
For sure. Well, I came across BitClout like when BitClout launched. I immediately joined and was playing around with it, and getting to know the platform. Yeah, I have my ear to the ground on a lot of this stuff. And when that rolled out, I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I think there's something here. So I played around with it. I knew a bunch of other people that were on it, and messing around with it, and I saw the potential in it. And then after a while, like, BitClout kind of like faded away a little bit. And then when they kind of rebranded to DeSo, and then they kind of rebranded themselves as like a blockchain and like this whole thing, and then they wrote out this fund, I was like, okay, I see where this is really going, right? Because BitClout, it was just, it was just an app, right? And it was kind of, it seems like now it was really just like their proof of concept app. It's like, hey,
It was like if Twitter was built in 1988, that's what it would look like.
yeah, it was like, well, here's what you can do with DeSo, and we'll show you, here's a project, right? But really, we want everyone else to build on top of it, and we just want to help move all these other apps forward. And when I saw that, and I saw the transition that they made, and us like looking into Web3 already, and thinking like, okay, well, how can we integrate a wallet to Entra, so that people can pay for things, or exchange money and buy services, or hire people in different currencies. And then it's like, okay, well, should we go decentralized and put everything on the blockchain, and how are we going to do this with Ethereum and Solana? And it just doesn't make sense. And then when we look deeper into DeSo, it's like, okay, this is actually built for social apps and social interactions. So this makes a lot more sense for our type of app, right? Certain companies and certain projects, it does make more sense maybe to do on Ethereum or Solana or whatever else. But for anything social related, and there's even a lot of other use cases too for DeSo, but specifically for social apps and for what we're doing, it was like, it clearly made them, it clearly made sense. And as we got to know their team a lot better and understood where they were going with it, it was pretty obvious that if we were going to do Web3, this is what we needed to build on, and this is what we needed to start integrating.
Yeah, and I think Nader would be happy to hear that, because he's been like pushing and pushing, hey, this isn't going to work on another blockchain like Solana, because it's going to be cost prohibitive, and it's going to cost you $2 to make a post, or $3 to like a bunch of posts. So I think that's like a really good point. How about Entra? Like when did you guys start, and what was your vision from the start?
Yeah, so I started building out this entrepreneurial community in like 2017, 2018. And then originally started as just like a online like community. I started doing events, and then that's kind of how it all began. And when I really then looked into, okay, well, like the number of entrepreneurs that are around the world, and not just tech entrepreneurs, but just like online businesses, creators, freelancers, and then really kind of redefining the future of work. Well, all of these individuals, they need different tools. They need a different networking platform. They need a place to hang out on a daily basis to make money, to network in a different way than any other app. So when we really started like looking into all of these numbers, we saw the opportunity to build out a like more modern professional network. So then we started working on the tech in like 2019. We rolled out the first version of the app last year. We rolled out and then we're in public beta and just getting a ton of feedback, and making sure that we can constantly keep updating the app and raising a little bit more money. And then we rolled out the new version of the app just in November. And that's when things started, kind of opening up a little bit more. And then, we started looking into Web3. So for us, it's really redefining like how people work and how people make money on the internet. We definitely have a very strong entrepreneurial like essence about us. It's in our brand. It's in everything. And we want people to be able to make money with Entre. We want people's, in 5 to 10 years, we want millions of people's full-time jobs, careers, whatever you want to call it, work, to be just using Entre. So they can make money with content, they can make money doing events, they can make money running communities, they can make money with their services, they can make money doing calls and coaching, consulting. All of these things you'll be able to do with Entre, and you'll be able to make money and pay for services too, or pay for whatever in any currency you want. So we believe that there's a massive opportunity right now to be, the new platform for professional networking, but also just making money online and, the future of work.
I love that, like a micro economy built on the internet for entrepreneurs and built onto Web3 now. So yeah, that's awesome. I guess before we close, I just want to ask, how does somebody sign up to Entre? Because I think we haven't really covered that, and I think there's a lot of people in DeSo who would be interested in signing up.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, right now it's, you just go to joinentre.com. There's like, a little DeSo button there that you can click. If you already have a DeSo account, it's super easy. Just click that, connect your account, and then you'll get right in. You can do it on mobile too. So we have a mobile app. You just search Entre in the app stores, and you can do the same thing with DeSo. If you're, for whatever reason, not on DeSo, you can still sign up with like Apple or Google or whatever. But we're trying to encourage the majority of people to sign up with DeSo. It's going to make things a lot easier. You'll be able to do a lot more going forward with it. And, we want people to like really, get into the DeSo ecosystem as a whole.
Do you know how many DeSo accounts have signed in yet?
We haven't actually, like, we're putting together that, because before everything's kind of been just going in one bucket. So now we're working on, we'll hopefully have soon, like an actual, like, number of, everyone. If I had to guess, it would be around 2,000 or 3,000 people. I will definitely know a lot more here soon once we actually have that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely people every day now that we're seeing coming over from DeSo, and people are really excited about it, and we're excited too, because it's like, I think we're merging the worlds together, of all the like social interactions on Diamond to, well, let's talk business and do meetings and events and make money and all of this other stuff. So I think it's going to work really well how people fit into this. And I think the majority, a lot of people on DeSo are also entrepreneurs in one way or another too. So it works out really well.
I know DOZ. He's a big DeSo user. He's been setting up some rooms over there, and I see he's scheduled some out. He scheduled one out with Supernovas to talk about minting audio files on DeSo. And I think me and Brian are probably going to eventually be doing these videos on Entre, where we can hold them live every day at a certain time, have other people watch them live, be in the room, maybe bring people up onto the stage, and then upload them to YouTube and do the same thing we do now.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll be able to do, the rooms are kind of like live streams, right? But what's going to be cool, like you said, is you can schedule them, you can have them recurring, people can sign up for them, you can build your email list also, right, in your community. And then the other thing is, you'll be able to soon, during the live show, there'll be a little diamond button on your card.
That's awesome.
People click that and you can make money during the live stream, right? So all of that's coming soon, right? So you'll be able, that it's going to be awesome, because anyone who's doing a podcast, a show, whatever, now you're going to be able to make money during that, as well as the content that you post otherwise. But I think it's going to be really awesome. You'll also be able to do private events or private shows. And right now you could link your Stripe account. Soon you'll be able to do ticketing with DeSo as well. So if you guys want to do a private show or like a paid show where it's like, hey, we're going to, if you want to come and ask us questions or whatever, it's like, 1 DeSo or 0.5 DeSo, whatever you want.
You're really valuing us pretty high there.
Well, it's just like, I think you guys are establishing yourselves as, DeSo influencers and, in the space. And if you keep doing it, people are going to definitely pay big money to be on these shows and get your attention.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
you didn't have to pay anything, right?
Yeah, wait, how much are we charging Michael today to be on this show?
Yeah, you guys can bill me after.
12 million.
Go easy. Go easy.
Well, thanks so much, Michael, for being on the show. And, I've been using Entra. I plan on continuing to use it. And I can't wait to see all the features you build out using some of the DeSo blockchain, like diamonds, creator coins. It's going to be awesome to see how this evolves. And I know you have huge plans for 2022, and it's just going to grow out from here. Thanks again. Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.